Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave with you. Hope you're doing wonderful. Thanks for being here. Thanks for pressing play. Appreciate you being here. Make sure you follow the show as well. Whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, whatever the thing is you're listening on. That way you'll know when new episodes come out. And I won't have to come and remind you and knock on your door. Hey, Dave's got a new episode. If you don't want me on your doorstep, simply follow the show and avoid the creepiness of Dave hanging out in front of your house. It's a great way to do that. Thank you for being here. Now, we're going to talk about podcast categories and why you need them and some good ideas for you if you've had your show forever and you haven't given a second thought to your categories. And it might be a good episode for you. If you're brand new and you're like, how do I even do this? This is also a great episode for you. And if you love coffee, this is also a great episode for you because I also love coffee. We have that in common. So now we're friends. So let's get into this. Thank you for being here. The idea about maximizing your discoverability by choosing the right podcast category here on the How to Podcast series. You're here. I'm here. Let's get started. So podcast categories. Love them or hate them, you're going to need them. Because when you set up your show, you're going to have to put your podcast into some kind of bucket, like a file folder with a name on it, and go, my podcast is like these podcasts, which will help all the podcast players to serve up your information, group you together with like shows. It's going to help you, and picking the right category is something you shouldn't take lightly. It shouldn't be a dartboard thing where you throw a dart and go, it's good enough. I'll put myself in that category. It might not be the right category for you. So my challenge for you as we go through this today is to review where your podcast is and make a change. If you need to, it's not going to break your podcast to play around with the categories and find the right one for you and your show. Podcast categories are tags that are used in directories like Apple and Spotify to organize and list their shows in groups on their apps. These categories help listeners to discover new podcasts by interest areas. Categories range from broad ones like news or comedy to more niche, as we say in Canada, items like fashion and beauty or entrepreneurship. You can get down pretty granular with your categories, and it just helps you kind of group them a little bit better. So, for example, our favorite Joe in the world, right? Your favorite too? No, well, anyways. Joe Rogan Experience fits under multiple relevant categories for that show in that it's a comedy and it also is a subcategory of comedy interviews. Subcategory is a category within the category. It can also be under society and culture. It could be under news and then a subcategory of news commentary. There's a bunch of different options for that show to list themselves so that their podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience, would be with other like podcasts. So keep that in mind. You can put your show anywhere, but you want it to be relevant to the content of what you're talking about on your show. Going back to your why, going back to your who is this podcast for and what do we cover, the Everything for Everybody show is going to have a hard time picking a category. So get a little bit more granular, focus on what you're talking about. It's really important to choose the right podcast category. Why? Well, number one, discoverability. You made a podcast and you want people to listen to it, right? Like, that's the idea. You actually want somebody to press play. Then being able to be found is really important. You want people to find your show. So being discovered comes from being in the right podcast category. Most listeners discover new shows by browsing categories or charts within those categories. The right fit boosts your chances of visibility. This is all on top of word of mouth, where people say, you should go listen to this podcast. It's awesome. Having yourself in the right category gives you one more opportunity for people to find your show based on a podcast grouping. So put yourself in the right place. It'll help you to be found. Another advantage And important reason why it's right to choose the right podcast category would be audience targeting. We want the right audience targeted for our content, and we want to be able to do that in an effective way. By correctly categorizing your show, it is shown to others who are already interested in similar content that you're doing in your show. A business podcast should be with business podcasts. A sleep podcast should be with sleep podcasts. And a podcast for parenting should be with parenting and not in the business podcast. All of these things help you to be found in the right place by the right people at the right time. And as well, your favorite and mine, chart potential. Some of these apps will group together the top podcasts in a certain category and have it as a chart ranking. So if you want to be found, you've narrowed yourself down from being one of many to being one of some in a category. So it eliminates all the other categories and you're focused just on your specific category. So there'll be the top podcast in business, the top podcast in author podcast. It'll be the top podcast about technology, top podcast about music, movies, television, on and on and on. By putting yourself in the right category, you have a better chance to chart if that's your goal. And it just puts you in the right place to be found. So pick the right category. It's very important. Can a podcast belong to more than one category? Most categories, including Apple, will allow you to select up to 3 categories. Now, how much they value all 3 categories, it's kind of up in the air. There's your primary category, which carries the most algorithmic weight. Okay, it's your main thing that you want to be found for. And then secondary categories, these supplement your discoverability. So a pro tip for you is to pick a relevant category from different parent groups to maximize audience reach. So for example, if you had a podcast about history, philosophy, and authors, then you could go with arts and books as a subcategory. You could go with history and society as a subcategory. You could go with culture as the main category and philosophy as a subcategory. So you're working within the groupings of each of these categories. There's a reason why all these options are there. Pick the best option for you. Play with it. See if it helps. If it doesn't, go back and change it. You can change it anytime you want. It's not going to hurt you at all. And I would encourage you to review it as often as possible. Put it in your calendar, maybe every 6 months, once a year. Go review my categories and see how I'm doing. You might find there's an opportunity there the more often you look at these, and do your best to find your audience, understand what your topic is, and put yourself in the right place to be found. So how do you choose the right category for your podcast when you're selecting it for the first time or to do an update? It all goes back to defining your show's core theme. Like, what are you doing on your show? What is the content? Who are you reaching? What's your mission? Think about what your podcast is actually about and the specific subject matter that you focus on regularly in your show. And that should be the foundation of how you pick your right category. Use multiple lenses as well. Like, what topics do you cover? Could your show fall under different genres like health, education, or leisure or something like that? Maybe your show touches on other elements in addition to your core theme. So if you're a parenting podcast and you're talking about men's mental health, see, that's another category. So give yourself the opportunity to be found for more than just your core theme, kind of the sub-themes and the sub-conversations that happen on your show. Bring that content forward and use those as an opportunity to put yourself in the right category. Another thing is go look at your competition. You're an author podcast. Go look at another author podcast and see what category they're in. You're like, wow, I never thought about being in that category. Maybe I should try. Go ahead. You can change anytime you want. Go in there, adjust it, save it, and then review. and see if you get any kind of uptick at all or a downturn. And maybe you get less listeners. You're like, ooh, that's not good. So look at your competition. You can use tools like Chartable. You can actually browse through Apple and Spotify to see where similar shows are listed and what categories they've chosen. There's a reason why most people make these choices. So learn from your competition and follow as you wish. And that's something that's a tool that is available to all of us to see. Another thing is to avoid irrelevant categories. Don't choose an unrelated low competition category just to try to rank your show. So if you're about a business podcast and you go pick some other really small niche category that has nothing to do with your show, that's not going to help you at all. It might actually backfire and potentially get you removed from these directories as you're looking like you're gaming the system. So don't do that. Don't do that at all. Balance popularity and specificity. Targeting a niche category can be a strategic play for you as a podcaster. If it aligns with your content and has less competition, you're going to look great. People are going to find your show. And you're going to be up against a smaller group of other podcasts in that space. So pick the right category. So as I look through Apple Podcasts, for example, I'm seeing podcast categories like news, comedy, society and culture, sports, health and fitness, arts, business, education, kids and family, TV and film, science, music, true crime, fiction, on and on and on. Spotify has their own as well. They also have video podcasts. They have only on Spotify as a category. There's a lot of different ones that you can pick from there as well. Go through and read through these and also look at the subcategories within a main category. So within music, there may be subcategories under music that are even more defined, more redefined, and bring a better awareness to your audience about what your show is about. Don't ignore the subcategories. Can you change your podcast categories after publishing? Anytime, whatever hosting site you're on, you can always go in there and update it. It may take a few minutes or a day to go out and populate to all the different places, but you can do that anytime, and it actually might increase and help you out and give you more eyes and ears on your show. So anytime. If you have any questions about that, you're like, I'm nervous to click the button, reach out to me and we'll do it together over Zoom and do a screen share and I'll show you exactly what to do. Happy to help anytime. What are the most popular podcast categories for a new podcaster thinking, well, I want to start a show, but what's popular? Well, what's popular is your passion for your show, first of all. Don't pick a category because it's hot. Pick a category because you love it and you're passionate about it. Because picking trendy topics that you know nothing about, you're going to run out of ideas. You're not going to have the same love for it than you will for a passion you can't stop talking about. So pick the right category for you first, but some of the more popular categories currently would be comedy, society and culture, news, true crime, which I don't understand why people love true crime so much. Anyways, side tangent. Business, and those are some of the ones that would be the more popular ones right now. But it's always changing. There's always new categories coming. So just keep looking at that on a regular basis. I love the idea. Putting it in your calendar as a reminder to go in and look at your categories and see what's new. You just never know. There might be a new category launched 5 years from now that's going to be way better than where you are currently, and you should be in that category. Just makes sense. So if you're not checking, you're not aware, and you might be missing some opportunities. So you can get into some niche categories, which we talk about. You can get into sports, and then in sports, there could be like wilderness sports. You can go into leisure, and then there's aviation. So if you're a pilot, there's an opportunity for you there in your show to be getting into the right category and the right subcategory. Think of a podcast category as like a ranking for music, where all the top songs are put together. under country or rock or hip hop or blues or jazz, right? They have their own categories. They have their own top 10 lists and top 40 lists. And that's basically the same thing that's happening in podcasting. You want to be in the right grouping so that your music, your podcast, whatever you're creating can be found by people who are interested in that topic and in that grouping. So that's all you're doing. You're just putting yourselves in the right place to be found. One thing to think about too is I know people who will focus on the main category. So music. They just pick music and then I'm done. And if there's 3 options, they put music, music, music. And that's it. If you pick a subcategory, you automatically get the bonus of the main category because the subcategory lives in the main category. So technically, you get a 2-for-1 deal simply by picking the subcategories. Interesting. So if you're just focusing on the high-level categories, you're missing the opportunity to be found in 2 places. So if you're like me and you love a great deal, then maybe think about changing from a main category to a subcategory for each of your 3 options, whatever's available to you, so that you have a better chance to be found for the subcategory and the main category instead of only being found for the main category. So don't just pick news. No, you're competing with everybody else who picked news. Go to the subcategory level and use that as your category for your show, which will then, like I said, give you the bonus of giving you the full category title as well. A 2-for-1 deal here on the How to Podcast series for you. Come on. I think that's worth a little hand clap. Yeah. So try that. And if you're only using main categories right now as a podcaster, hit the brakes, hit pause, go to your hosting site and see where you are. And it might be time for a change. Switch to subcategories instead of main categories and let me know what happens with your show. I'd love to hear if it gave you any more juice and you saw an uptick in listenership. If it works, it works. And when it works, then it works. So do that and try it out. Let me know. So the big idea as we wrap up, choosing the correct podcast category is one of the most overlooked yet powerful ways to increase your show's visibility. It's a great way to grow your audience and to build credibility with your niche as you podcast. It does ensure that your podcast is discoverable by the right people. It shows up in the right charts. It aligns with how all the directories like Apple and Spotify promote their content. And by putting your podcast into the correct category, it's not just a technical step, it's a strategic move for you as a podcaster. And why does it matter? It improves your discoverability. It increases your chart ranking potential. It boosts your credibility and your trust, and expands your reach across topics. Picking the right category is going to help your show. And again, going to the subcategory level, one level deeper within a main category, gives you the bonus of having that sub-level category and the main category level as a free additional bonus for you. So keep that in mind. I'm going to include some great resources for you if you want to go further and study up more on this and read up more. There's only so much I can cover in one episode, but I thought I'd give you these resources that I use when I work with clients on their show and helping them set up their podcast. So I'll include them for you. There's a Apple Podcast Browse page, which will show you kind of all of the different categories for Apple. There's one for Spotify as well. Simply for Spotify, you just need to go to the app, go search on the tab, and scroll to podcasts, and then you can explore by genre. Again, I'll have all the instructions for you in the show notes. And also some other tools for you for helping you with your podcast and getting in the right categories. I'll have all of these tools for you, links included in the show notes. I would love to share that with you. It's always free. And if you need any help with your podcast, getting it into the right category, picking the right hosting site for your show, understanding technology, getting motivated to getting your butt in gear and getting this podcast thing created, just help, advice, someone will listen to your show, or you just want to be in a community with other podcasters who think like you, are on the same journey as you, and you need support from other people just like you, howtopodcast.ca is kind of all those things. And they're free. So why not? Come and join us. Love to have you there. I'd love to meet you and promote you as a podcaster. And as an example, Will did just like that, just like what I just said. Will did it. He's in New Zealand right now, and he left me a voice message to talk about his show. So everyone, go check out Will's podcast. Here's a little bit more from Will, a listener of the show, just like you, who did the big thing that we asked you to do all the time. Go to howtopodcast.ca, reach out. We'd love to chat with you. We'd love to promote you. We want to get people to know about you and your show. Will did it. So if you've been waiting and thinking, well, maybe Dave will never do that. If I respond to him, we won't do it. Go talk to Will, because here it is. We will do it, and I will support you on the show and put the attention on you. Here's Will talking a little bit more about his podcast. If you want to see an amazing Instagram page, go check out Will. But here's Will leaving a message for the How to Podcast series. Will, take it away.
Hi, my name's Will, and I'm the host of Wildlife Quests, a podcast where I talk with wildlife experts, adventurers, and conservationists who have done extraordinary things, from wildlife filmmakers to deep sea and jungle explorers. I've travelled to 47 countries myself, and I also share my own stories of travelling and epic journeys, close encounters with wildlife, and unforgettable experiences in some of the world's most remote places. If you're curious about the planet's wild places and the amazing people who live, work, and explore in them, come join me on Wildlife Quests. You can listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Hey, thanks for being here. Thank you for listening to the end of the podcast. You're here with me. I'm so grateful. I want to put something in front of you. For the person that's listened this far, you're my new best friend. So what I'm trying to do every month is I have a goal, and you can help me with this goal. Very simple. What I'm trying to do is have 5 conversations this month with listeners of the How to Podcast series. You don't have to have a podcast to respond. This can be the first time ever that we're going to have a conversation, but I'm looking to talk to 5 people. Now, you're still here, so you're one of the people that I would love to talk to next. So on my howtopodcast.ca website is a calendar, and I'd love to have you respond on howtopodcast.ca. Just click the calendar link, set up time in my calendar, and in the comments section for the meeting, just put something like listener. That's it. If you have a show, put it in the comments too so I can go listen. But if you don't, I just want to talk to 5 listeners every month from now to the end of the month. So if you're listening to me right now, you're the person I want to talk to. And through howtopodcast.ca, you and I can get together, chat about the show, chat about your journey as a podcaster. Where are you at? What do you need this show to become for you? What's missing? Your feedback. I just want to meet you. And as podcasters, I would encourage you to do something similar to this in your podcast so that you can meet and interact with your audience. So howtopodcast.ca, I'm looking to talk to 5 people every month, and I would love for you to be one of them. Reach out. It's free. I'm not selling you anything. I just want to talk to you at howtopodcast.ca. Let's get in the calendar and chat. Thanks for listening.